Hello guys, hope you're doing well. In this video, I'm going to talk about the definition of the derivatives. So stay with me until the end of the video. To find the slope of a line, you need 2 points. For example, first x and first y, and second x and second y. Okay, so the slope m is equal second y minus first y over second x minus first x. Okay, but if we have 1 point, what can we do? If we have random point, for example like this, and imagine you have a point on a graph, for example here, and let's call it x. Since we can't find the slope with just x, let's create a second point, for example here. If this second point is some distance horizontally, let's call that distance h. So this distance is h. So x value of this point is x plus h. Okay, let's label them. This point for the xy pair, the x coordinate will be x and the y coordinate will be f of x. And for the second point, for xy pair, the x coordinate will be x plus h and the y coordinate will be f of x plus h. Okay, so we can use those 2 points in the slope formula. So we have the m is equal second y is f of x plus h minus first y is f of x over second x is equal x plus h minus first x is equal x. Now we can cancel the x's, so we have the slope is equal f of x plus h minus f of x over h. Okay, but we don't actually want the slope between 2 points. We want the slope at 1 point, for example here. So we move the second point closer to the first point, which means making the distance h is smaller and smaller until the second point approaches the first point. For example, second point is here, so the distance h now is here, and if the second point is here, so h is here, is smaller than previous value. Okay, so if h approaches to 0, the 2 points are so close they basically become 1. Okay, so h approaches to 0. So we have the limit of this fraction as h approaches 0 is the slope. Okay, so this limit is the slope of the tangent line, and this limit also defines the derivative also if limit exists. So we called f prime of x, or the derivative of f. Now the question is, how do you use it? Let's solve some examples with this formula. Number 1, if f of x is equal x squared, find the derivative using the definition of the derivative. If f of x is equal x squared, so f of x plus h is equal x plus h whole squared. So the definition of the derivative is equal the limit of f of x plus h minus f of x over h as h approaches 0. So we have the limit as h approaches 0, f of x plus h is equal x plus h whole squared minus x squared over h. So we have the limit as h approaches 0, x plus h whole squared is equal x squared plus 2hx plus h squared minus x squared over h. Okay, so x squared minus x squared, so x squared cancels, so we have the limit as h approaches 0. If we factor out h from this expression, we have h times 2x plus h over h. H in the numerator and h in the denominator cancels, and if h approaches 0, so we have 2x. So we say if f of x is equal x squared, so f prime of x is equal to x. Let's solve another example. If f of x is equal 3x squared plus 4, so f of x plus h is equal 3 times x plus h whole squared plus 4. So we have the limit of f of x plus h minus f of x over h as h approaches 0 is equal the limit as h approaches 0. F of x plus h is equal 3 times x plus h whole squared plus 4 minus f of x is equal 3x squared plus 4 over h. Okay, so we have the limit as h approaches 0, 3 times x squared plus 2hx plus h squared plus 4 minus 3x squared minus 3x squared minus 4, okay, over h. So we have the limit 3 times this expression is equal to 3x squared plus 6hx plus 3h squared plus 4 minus 3x squared minus 4. So 3x squared plus 4 minus 3x squared minus 4 cancels over h as h approaches 0. So we have 6hx plus 3h squared over h. If we factor out h from this expression in the numerator, we have the limit as h approaches 0, h times 6x plus 3h over h. H in the numerator cancels with h in the denominator, and if h approaches 0, so we have 6x. Okay, so we say if f of x is equal 3x squared plus 4, 3x squared plus 4, so f prime of x, or the derivative of f of x, is equal 6x. Finally, if f of x is equal c, means constant, find the derivative using the definition of the derivative. So if f of x is equal the constant, so f of x plus h is the constant too. So the limit as h approaches 0, f of x plus h minus f of x over h. So we have the limit as h approaches 0, f of x plus h is equal c minus f of x is equal c over h. So in the numerator we have 0 and the denominator h is approaching 0. So this fraction is 0. So we say if f of x is any constant, so the derivative of f of x is equal 0. Guys, using this formula to find the derivative in every problem is difficult and time consuming because we have to use algebraic identities or factoring. So in the next video, I'll go over the derivative rules to make our work easier. Don't miss the next video. See you soon.